Okay, so we look here. This is you over here. That's fine. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can see that fine.
Okay, perfect.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
My teleporter is
Defend
online.
objective data.
Okay. So, I mean, you tethered to catch up there, but that was actually a little lost time because it takes away your ability to tether here.
Yeah.
Did you want to do, so what was your thought here of a ground roll just to the left there? Were you trying to go over here? Were you trying to go over here? Were you trying to meet up with
I was trying
your
to get
tracer?
back right. Trying to get back right. I
You
was
want
trying
to
to
go over
let go
here?
with the swing a little bit early. I think I let go of a little bit too late and ended up
Got it.
going left.
Got it. Okay. And you were just thinking, hey, I want to get on the Zen to pull some people back so my team can get in? Is that kind of the thought here?
Pretty much.
Okay.
To get in, get behind them.
Yeah. Okay. That's valid. Too often you're gonna have to go through like a Hog, a McCree, etc. But that's valid, so I'm gonna say fine. You have megas available here. This is fine. It's just a question of are you going to run into the tracer? Exactly. So the other thing that you could have done here, like it's valid to go, hey, I want to go to the left there. But remember, like you do have to, at this level, be thinking about, hey, can Tracer and I win a flank? Can we go for that together? So, oh, not quite as
Yeah.
far back as I went, which in this case becomes my first guess originally was that you wanted to go this way or that you were, going to tether a little higher and end up here and you sort of take your
Okay.
2v1 on this tracer here because that's,
Yeah.
just a little more, hey, if you can drive her off, if you can get control, then you guys can, in a coordinated way, actually threaten the Zen. Whereas this is just a slam, get your adaptive shield and then try to leave after eating cooldowns, which will help get your team in. But you are you on comms much? Do you comm much? Remind me.
Yeah, I always make comms whenever
Okay.
I'm in game.
Okay, that's fine.
Generally like fucking like who's where and
Yep,
what I'm doing
that's
generally.
fantastic and really quite necessary as the main tank. So I'm glad to hear it. Okay, so we know what happens here. You go here, and unfortunately, that's there. Um,
Everyone, on the objective.
yeah, you have team support here. You guys have the faster respawn. I mean, you can't really. Okay, let's take a look. What's your thought here? Where are you going? Or even before you take that extra bit of chip damage, what's your thought of what your next play is?
Mm, I'm not too sure. I think I'm just trying to get in onto the point so we can all get in onto the point.
I think you've already done your job in that sense. You created, you went in, you did stuff, etc., and your supports aren't going to move. This is where they're determined to play from, right? And okay,
Yeah.
your widow's over here. That's fine. I don't think you going to point, like you going to point is useful if you want to cap it. You going to point is maybe useful if people are leaving to try to contest these guys, but that's not happening. I think you're more interested in, okay, can I circle around for health somewhere? Which, you could swing up here and try to go get it, but then Hog's dangerous to you. Or you just sort of do I'm happy to continue to be a distraction here in a safe manner that continues to give my team sightlines because your Zen is eventually going to chew up this Hog. Like, you don't know that your Zen is
Yeah.
here rather than here, but like, this is not a place that they can live, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking about this, and you've really tucked away their supports pretty hard, and when their supports repeak, they're going to be looking for you, not for your team, almost certainly. So I think the right place for you to be is actually just right here. Like, you can just kind of go,
So
yeah, like, just don't spend more resource. Go ahead.
just keep applying pressure from that position. Just
Yeah.
me being there is pressure.
You being here is pressure, right? Like, if you could get more health, great. If you could apply a little more pressure, great. But I don't think you're going to be able to apply much more pressure without taking chip damage that makes you no longer a threat, if that makes sense. Like, this is a clear the Discord. This is definitely a clear the Discord moment, not a go do this moment. Once you get through, and now you can definitely join up with your Tracer over there. Yeah, you can definitely join up with the Tracer. Anywhere your Tracer is almost generally a good idea to go, hey, I want to go do work over here. Now, she got both of them. Maybe she got both of them before I said anything, before you saw her. Let me... Oh. Yeah, okay. Well, she does end up getting it. I'm a little surprised you didn't go to join there. But this should be an easy cleanup now.
Objective A.
No one can hide from my sight.
Objective B.
Okay, so their comp has changed, and their comp has changed. What do you think is how do you think you play into this comp? Their tank line specifically is what's interesting to me, but let's talk about their comp.
See, Mercy Zen, I feel like I should be trying to poke until we have an engagement possibility. I don't just want to be, going into them.
I'm okay with you poking until you have an engagement possibility. Mercy Zen is a pretty good poke line, whereas they're also a support line that's pretty weak to dive. But you have yourself your own Zen, and you have a Widow, so I'm okay with you guys in the poke battle. They're probably a little bit better in the poke battle if we're serious, because if we think about what they have, they've got the Zen, you've got the Zen, they've got the Mercy, you've got the Ana. That's a little better poke for them. They've actually got the Sigma, which is pretty good poke. They have a Hanzo, you have a Widow. So I'm actually thinking that their poke is a little bit better than yours. So you actually do want to go, hey, if we can get hard dives, that's good. But I'm actually more looking at this and going, can you guys check Suna? Can the two of you just force out check Suna and kind of do this in places where the poke battle isn't happening, and then go in and win on their backline pretty consistently? That's sort of how I'd be thinking of this. Yes, you could just coordinated hard dive their Zen every time and go, hey, it's fine. I'm going to eat the hook. I'm going to eat the Storm Arrow. It sucks, but I can do my best with this as we hit a discorded dive onto Zen over there and get some real work done. But, assuming you don't have clean dives to do that, or to get yourself in positions to do clean dives to do that, you're really looking at this and sort of going, hey, if you guys, like, the two of you should be able to consistently win that flank war to get the map control to do that, right?
Yeah, so I should be trying to duel the Tracer or one of the DPS with my Tracer, and
Right.
then we go in when we have an advantage.
Right. If they're only going to play one flanker and you're effectively playing, tank flanker plus flanker, yeah, you can definitely be thinking, hey, their Tracer should not be able to stage onto your backline at all, and you should be able to push theirs back, exhaust theirs pretty hard, and then you're not going to get perfect dives or anything, because, if you're exhausting the Tracer, running them out of blinks, or, getting them down 2 blinks, down 2 blinks in a recall, whatever the case is going to be, yeah, you're going to be missing some resources at that point too, but you should be in better shape having been forcing that 2v1 or having been battling for flank control in that 2v1, and then from there you should be able to hit the easier dive. You have to stage, but you have to stage through the opposing Tracer effectively.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. And you don't want to fight the Tracer alone, though. Like, you need to be talking back and forth. You and your Tracer are a duo at this point. Like, I'm not saying you're queued together. I'm just saying, like, you are playing as a duo for that map control.
Yeah, I understand.
This is just over. That's just soaking energy, fine. Unfortunate you guys are spending a lot into this fight that you're just not going to win. Are you just trying to get mines real quick here?
Yeah.
Okay.
System restored. Linked.
So if you want to roll up here to get your Zarya some energy and then get out, that's fine. You need to give your Zarya a position where she can actually be the tank for your core team, so she needs to be in that situation. But after that, the flank on this portion of the map is mostly over here. So like I said, if you and your Tracer can get control of this, and of course this is where your opposing Tracer is playing, that's going to work great. And you have lots of ways to do that. I wouldn't necessarily roll across here. You can roll through here, obviously, or you can swing across here. Either of those is going to be fine. And your team is on comms. It sounds like you're going to be able to know if they're not holding top right, which they will be because that's still where your core is playing from. Yeah, so this is what we were talking about. You probably need to go this way with the bubble to get your team. Wow, that's great steering. You probably need to go this way with the bubble just to get your Zarya some energy because she does need to be able to be a threat for your core for her to potentially fight her way up here. But that's fine. You're going over here. Okay, so that was just a poor setup, initiation, engage. I mean, your Tracer wasn't over there with you. You hadn't gotten your Zarya any sort of energy yet. Yeah. Now, if we want to try and force this one with Minefield once our team's there, that's fine. We can do that even without clearing the flank from the normal one, but let's see how we do at earning this space. Perfect. Beautiful. Okay, that's fine. Are you immediately going to tuck? Good. I wouldn't even necessarily spend on this. How are you planning to use Minefield? I assume you're using that this push.
Yeah. I just plan to put it on the point.
Okay, that's fine. So that's totally fine. Obviously, it's also really powerful when teams are trying to hold like this, right? Because you get to drop your minefield and they're sort of like, oh shoot, how do we get out? Like, that's pretty darn powerful there. And I actually think it's probably better for that than it is for point. Like, yes, if it gets to point and you haven't used it yet, that's totally fine. But I liked clearing this Hanzo. I liked you tucking and waiting for a second. I just would have liked you to then do a, hey, have your team push, and as your team pushes up here, you come in here in minefield, you have the angle for it, etc. That would have been preferable to what I'm
So instead of having them drop onto the minefield on point, just have it up on the high ground with them.
You're going to get more actual serious pressure out of it because this is a more condensed space that will, contain your minefield a bit better. It'll give you a tighter spread, and mines are more dangerous when they have a tighter spread, but they still have to go through this space, right? Like if they're here, or even if they're here, they can't really go this way. We've got mines, okay, going this way, etc. And you can easily knock them and do it here because again, tighter minefield, etc. Yes. Okay. Let me just see your height there.
Area denied.
Yeah, usually you'd get a little bit higher and a little bit further forward for that, but that's fine.
Clear impact area.
And that gets out their Valk, and that Sigma behind you should immediately go down. Are you gonna make that happen? No. And now they've got the trans, fine. Or you've got the trans, excuse me.
Ain't no stopping me.
Let's just take one look at your decision making here. So you choose to then come down here, which is fine with me. You guys have pretty solid control, and that's just the lift going off, which should be no threat to you. So your team isn't really in any danger right now. You're actually the only one in danger. So yeah, I mean, let's just think about this for a second. Is your team in any danger?
Yeah, no, they've got trance going right now, so we're fine.
Right. So, you know, hey, they're being lifted, but they're being lifted in a friendly minefield, and they have trance going. Everything is peachy here. So, are you going to be doing a good job of fighting out this? Is it really critical that you get a tick right now? Like, you guys just went up 2 people. Do you need to get a tick right now?
Yeah, I guess we could play for more cleanup and then go for the point.
Right. The way I'm thinking this is, hey, you were in the lead. You want to play a little more conservative. Their ult isn't going to get value, and that is, you know, their big ult, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm looking at this and going, your job at this point is to not be taking damage, is to play more conservatively, is to not fall behind. So you can go, hey, I'm going to leave down here and get the mini. I'm going to leave over here and get the mega. Like, this hog can't contribute right now, right? He's already down, etc. So if you want to go, hey, I'm going to distract this hog a little while my tracer gets the Valk, that's probably not going to happen, right? Like, the two of you are going to have to work together to get the Valk, and you're probably not enough by yourself unless the McCree is helping, and your McCree, well, isn't going to be helping, hint. So the way I'm thinking this, you're winning. You want to play a little more conservatively, and if we look at your status, this isn't really conservatively. Like, you've already used adaptive shields, and including your adaptive shields, you're at 350 health. So you could swing back up to your trans if you're like, hey, I would love some healing, or you could go to get the mega, or you could just drop to, you know, break line of sight fastest. But I don't think you want to... yeah, if you wanted to roll higher to try, you know, you wanted to aim up, or you wanted to go down here, or you wanted to go down here. Just a roll through the hog is sort of like, hey, I'm going to do some damage to the hog who's getting Valk heals. Not super useful. It's time that your shield is expiring, etc. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was trying to just push him off the point to get him onto low ground for maybe getting the tick there, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you knock him into the low ground, that's cool and all, but honestly, you're probably still not going to get the tick because the Valk's going and the Mercy's just going to touch it. You know, like, she'll touch it and then immediately leave, but she's still going to contest it for a moment. Yes. Yeah, and you stayed in with, what was it, 340 health. Your shields then run out or get chipped through. You go down to 190 something, then you roll sort of towards them again, and now there's no way out. There's just no way out. Whereas, again, it was going to be very easy for your team with their high ground superiority, as long as your McCree didn't just get decimated by the Tracer, which isn't what happened. It was going to be very easy for your team to finish that hog off whenever they wanted, as long as you lived, as soon as that flux was over.
Evidence suggests a sniper ahead.
Full speed.
Into the iris.
Activating shield. Systems compromised.
Is that you resetting, or was that you thinking you could make that?
Just barely missed the
Okay.
the land there. Yeah.
Just making sure. So let's watch this one more time. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you just barely missed it. Okay. Oh, let's-
In transit.
Barrier in place.
Actually, I am gonna back that one more time, I think.
At your service.
No, a little more.
Full speed.
Into the
Okay, so you hear the trans now. Is the thought that, hey, you're going to knock people out of trans? Is the thought that you're going to knock them away so your team is safer during their trans? What's the thought here?
No, I'm just mainly thinking we're still in this fight. I'm going
Okay.
in. Wasn't really thinking of anything else.
Okay, that's fine. You're not anymore, unfortunately, but that's fine. And the reason you're not, I mean, you can see you went down 2 here, right? And you're on top of their spawn. They should be able to flip
Yeah.
this just with what the comps that C play are right now, etc. But I'm not really critical of you re-entering here. I'm just pointing out that, hey, there was a trans going, you were down 2. I get it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a
Yeah, I get it.
less than a half-second decision making there, but is your teammate still? No, it's the Sigma now. So your Sigma really doesn't need you over here at all. Your Zarya potentially wanted you here to come get the charge to help, her get going, etc. After resets, you can be thinking more now about, okay, I'm going to get over here with my other Tracer and we're going to do more to control this flank, but it's fine. Did you want to drop there or did you want to slam back on?
I was trying to slam up top left because I heard call that Widow was top left.
Got it. Did you see her and just not care there, or do you think you just didn't see her when you were playing?
No, I probably didn't see her at that point. I assume if I saw her, I would have turned back around.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, we hear her footsteps and we see her, but this is the replay. We, have other things going on. Your eyeballs were almost certainly looking to the left where you expected more things to be going on.
Weapons. Make your attacks on the objective. System is compromised.
Nope. So again, this is kind of what I'm talking about, where if you guys, clear the Tracer a little bit, you're just going to have a better time. You're actually going to be able to play the game a little bit more. Otherwise, he's going to hunt you down every time you leave, which is kind of what's been happening. Clear it, you're fine.
Up with me.
Personne n'échappe à mon regard.
Full speed.
So, there's 50 seconds left on the clock, and your Zen is down, and they have eyes. I know you know where she is, so you're thinking, hey, I'll get her, maybe I'll knock her out, etc. Do you think that she doesn't have grapple? Yeah, she has grapple. Are you thinking your McCree can get the follow-up here? Are you thinking you have more teammates back here that are just going to take her down if you knock her out? Like, I don't hate it.
I was going to boop her out there so we'd be able to finish her off. I feel
Yeah.
like if I managed to push her out.
No, that's good. That's good. I'm being overly critical. That's a reasonable play, even with them having eyes up.
Because I was going to wait a little bit longer. Just as soon as I heard sights, I just thought I'm probably going to get a lot of damage in here if I don't go fast.
Yep.
System restored.
I was being overly critical of the fact that, hey, your Zen is down. You're not really going to have a window to take advantage of this. Yes, press him. The two of you. No, your Tracer's just not interested. Okay. Whatever. Was your Tracer at all on comps with you? There we go.
No, I don't think the Tracer was speaking much this game.
Okay.
Let's try that again.
You guys should have this, though. That's fine. He's got the Harmony. You can still win this. Your poor Tracer. Remember, the Suna has the Harmony. Like, you... Okay.
Area denied.
Like 10 seconds remaining.
That was forced a little too hard.
Guerrero wedding.
So, again, preference here would have actually been that you stay in this fight and keep exhausting this Tracer. This fight is going to be easier after the two of you have done that trade. Even with the Harmony Orb, that's just a case of, hey, can we bait her back in here a little bit, etc., etc. You guys can do it. It's 2v1.5 effectively at that point. And if you wanted to come out here and do mines, that's fine with me. But if we look back, let's look back to actually when you deploy the mines. You know, I'm looking at this, and again, I would prefer this mine setup for you personally. But hey,
Yeah.
Let's try that again. Get pressure on. Can't let up now.
do I want to micro your Tracer fight? I think I do.
Repairing. System restored.
So you see that, you have to use grapple to come in. This is, of course, correct that you're going here. Did you bump the wall, or could you have been closer than this? Not that you necessarily want to be. You didn't. You chose to deploy here, which is perfectly reasonable. Go there, go get your Mega. Not go get your Mega. Okay.
30 seconds remaining.
Repairing.
You've already grappled when she turns to look at you. Okay.
Let's try that again. Get pressure on. We can't let up
And
now.
that was actually blinked without looking at you. That was pretty good. Okay. You didn't really make much in terms of micro errors here. And this should instantly be leave. Yeah, that should instantly be leave because you've known that you know as soon as you see that there's two of them there. Like, yes, it would be great to get the elimination here, but you know, hey, it's 1v2, you're missing more than half your health, you don't have you do have adaptive shield, but you don't have pile drive available, you've already used tether. I mean, this has to be a, hey, retreat into my minefield type situation, try to get tether, try to break line of sight, etc. You've just got no chance here, but okay.
10 seconds remaining. Ready for battle. Ready for battle.
Could have used a little more time to get ready. Hiya! Hiya!
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So talk to me about the hog pick here. Do you not like Ball on defense? Do you not like his setup options? Did you feel like there was something in the matchup that wasn't working for you? Talk to me.
No, I generally don't feel like Ball on defense. Hanamura is, well, something I'm good at anyway. And I was going to go run, then I was told not to go run, and I said, okay, well, I guess I'll go hog instead.
That's makes sense to me. What particularly feels bad about Ball? Do you feel you don't have anywhere good to stage defensively? Do you feel you can't do enough on point? Do you feel you just don't do enough at this choke? Do you feel like if you set up on this side for the initial thing, they teleport in and you don't get there? Like, what feels bad? Do you know?
It's just more of a, like, I feel like there's just better heroes I could be playing instead of Ball.
Okay. It's not like the best defense point for Ball, but I still think Ball probably is the best choice. Not, it's fine that you picked Hog, but I think Ball, is still probably the best choice because Ball, is still mostly balanced as the strongest tank. Yes, we're seeing some Zarya Winston play, but that is very much a synergy thing that you're clearly not going to get right here. And if you look at this, I mean, if we think about this point, hey, it does have something that Ball can knock people off on the back. Ball does have a lot of space to work with on this point, and Ball does get to disrupt pushes through the choke, because there is only one real way through for a lot of teams, pretty well. So I wouldn't undersell ball defensively on this point.
Okay, yeah.
Like, if a brawl team's coming through and you go, nope, I'm gonna stop half of you with an swing, adaptive shield, whatever, or if a team's fighting on point, there's enough that you can do back here. You've got access to 2 pretty quick megas while still being in the, back in the fight, etc. I wouldn't underestimate ball here, but I'm not saying, oh, terrible to have played Hog. I'm just saying, if there's something
I
that
get you.
feels bad, we can talk about it. But if not, I'm just gonna move on
Attackers
here.
incoming. Defend objective A.
Get it done. Barrier in place. Barrier in place.
Okay, so what am I gonna comment on here?
I think I'm peeking for too long.
It's not that you're peeking for too long, though that is true. I'd say it's more specific related to your peeking. So here you are. You reload to 5, that's fine. Okay. If we're reloading right now, why are we peeking?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to slow this down to be obnoxious. Sigma Shield is not, a permanent thing in any way, shape, or form. I don't know how much Sigma you play, but Sigma is going to do the, hey, even with the stupid 2.5 second redeploy cooldown, Sigma's going to pull down the shield a lot. So whether it breaks because it's, paper thin, or whether it gets pulled down, this is not real cover for you. You should not trust Sigma Shields as meaningful real cover. If they happen to block something for you, that's great. If there was not a Sigma Shield here, I do not think you'd have done this. So pretend that there's not a Sigma Shield here is basically what I'm going to say.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hi! Hiya! Hiya! Hiya!
Hey there.
Widowmaker here.
Objective lost.
Hiya!
New defense point. Objective B.
So, their comp. Let me think about this for a second. You guys are playing Sigma Hog Mirrors. You guys have Widow plus Briggs. They've gone with McCree plus Mercy. Interesting balance. Okay. But why though? Like, is this just so that your Harmony Orb can stay somewhere else? Is this because you want to save an armor pack? Like, why are you taking a breather for this?
I don't have an answer for that. I'm not sure.
Okay, that's fine. Again, that's I'm my job to be critical here. So I'm just looking at this.
No, I get it. I get it.
I'm just looking at this and going, you're not in danger. Take a breather is like, yes, the heal aspect of take a breather is nice, but the damage reduction is also good. Like when you were using it back on first, yeah, that's how you use it. Unfortunately, you go, yes, I'm taking a breather as I walk out, etc., etc. Or I'm taking too much damage. Let me take a breather to sustain through an ult, etc. This is like I'm taking a breather to heal myself when, no, I'm not at all convinced that the fight isn't going to happen before you have take a breather back. Oh, nice. We're peeking while we're reloading again.
Hold up now. What is that metal?
Nice.
Into the iris. Experience
Well done.
No one can hide from my sight.
It's actually pretty expensive to Sigma if you throw a couple right clicks into this barrier. I know you're probably thinking, hey, I want to have right clicks to be able to right click, hook, left click, but it is actually pretty expensive to Sigma if you do barrier damage to her when you've got nothing else better to shoot at for this moment. Good. Again, we're going to get pretty micro here. Taking a breather here, absolutely correct. Just not sure why you're walking forward, why you're looking forward, etc. That should have been an instant 180 to get out.
Victory.
Okay, so how do you feel about your ball versus your hog in general?
I've definitely got a lot more practice on ball.
Yep.
Like the hog was more of a just a flex pick to be
Sure.
fair.
Sure, no, that's fine. That's what I'd have said too. So I'm glad that you have that assessment of your relative hero pool strength. Your hog, I mean, it's some stuff where it's the hey, you know, you don't want to be peeking while you're reloading. Many tank heroes don't have a serious reload issue, so that's the sort of thing that can punish you if you're not thinking about it. You know, haven't had to learn that skill on other heroes. I'm sure you understand how shields work, having played those heroes, etc. That like the shields, you know, aren't permanent things, etc., etc. It's just a little different when you're not the one driving them, etc. And then you know you've got some take a breather use that frankly surprised me, but that'll be an easy fix for you to be like, wait, this is downtime, we're not in any threat, let me just let my supports heal me up, etc. For ball, I'd say we're dealing, you know, so that's some like lower hanging fruit for hog. For ball, we're dealing with more, you know, okay, this is meta type stuff, this is the matchup type stuff, this is, you know, a slightly better use of mind type stuff up here, this is the hey, with this specific matchup, with the heroes being what they are, we should take this 2v1 to clear the space so that we then can do our work, we can stage better dives because we've taken the space, etc. So you know your heroes are at different places. One, it's you're working on, you know, kind of basic stuff, not like truly basics. You're playing hog in this game and you're not getting dumpstered, so obviously you're not working on basics, but you're working on stuff that's a little more base than what you need to be working on, which is more pinnacle stuff on Hammond there. So I'm happy to go over this more, but I think we've probably got time. We can review, you know, the first round or whatever, at least of another game if you've got one. Or if you have questions, I'm
fine.
happy to field questions for 20 minutes or 15 or whatever it's going to be.
Well, I just have one question before I put in another code
Please.
there real quick.
Please.
I feel like a lot of the time when I'm playing, I just sort of like autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a very good thing. Like that's why I would be taking a breather in the middle of downtime or taking a breather and walking forward, that sort of stuff.
Yep. So there's two ways to avoid. There's multiple ways to avoid autopilot, but let's talk about it first, right? So the first thing that we want to do is if your focus in general is stronger and you're less mentally tired, it's going to be easier to avoid autopilot. So that becomes a, hey, are you getting enough sleep and are you eating right type stuff. Like, okay, I want to play some competitive Overwatch and I want to do well. Did you get at least 8 hours of sleep last night? Like, you do get to a point where that actually becomes a very serious thing that we had to consider for our contenders players. It's no, we don't want you
Well,
grinding more. We want
yeah.
you getting enough sleep, etc. So if you're checking that off, that's good. But the next thing we're going to get to is, okay, well, one way to improve to not go into autopilot is to be focused on improving something. So if you're thinking about, wait, no, I remember this, when I've got this matchup, I need to be specifically looking in winning the flank battle because we've got 2 versus their 1 and we need to be going and controlling the space. And if you're more actively thinking, this is a specific thing I'm working on, that's going to help get rid of some of your autopiloting, quote unquote, because you're focusing on something. Now, the irony to that is, because you're focusing on something, you're sort of running on your autopilot a little bit for your other stuff, right? Like, not completely, but your mind is engaged on that, and that'll help your mind to be engaged on other things. But that is, it's sort of we're turning autopilot into our friend rather than an enemy there, where we're going, I want to focus on getting better at this one thing, and so I'm not autopiloting because I'm focused on this one thing. Maybe it's not taking a breathers when I don't have to. Maybe it's, not reloading in the open, whatever it is. So you're not autopiloting because you're focused on something, but you're letting your autopilot run a little bit for the rest of your play to level up your autopilot, because your autopilot is sort of your base thing. But that
Yeah.
doesn't
To,
really
like, fill in the blanks. I get you.
Exactly. But that doesn't really help you for your officials. Like, if you're going, hey, I'm on a tier 3 team, we're playing officials, I'm the main tank, we think we've got a shot of, getting into trials, doing all that stuff, great. Okay, well, for that, you're not working on improving in something specific in your actual match.
Yeah.
You're doing you're playing to win, or you're doing a performance thing, etc. Or if it's the end of a season, you're going, I want to hit my peak SR, etc. Whatever that is going to be, you're going to go, yeah, it's not making me better, but I just want to grind for 10 hours to see what I can do as my peak. And that just becomes a thing of, okay, I'm looking at the enemy team and I'm actively keeping my mind sort of engaged on, okay, what do they have? What do we need to be doing? What do they have? And you just sort of keep your mind working a little bit in terms of, okay, I'm thinking about the match. I'm thinking about how we're going to win it. I'm thinking about this. And if you find yourself, taking off the gas, if you're pushing for a peak, for example, that's, you just go, okay, let me stop. I'm not focused enough. Let me go take a break, do some physical exercise, take a walk, do, 50 push-ups, whatever it's going to be. Then maybe I'll come back and do more type thing. Because your brain, if you're feeling good, physically, mentally, etc., your brain is going to have more ability to do it. And also, the more you grind it, the more your brain is going to have the ability to do it, as long as you're recognizing and refocusing when it's gone type thing. Like, that is a skill you can build, if that makes sense.
I get you.
Okay. I hope somewhere in those 3 sort of things I touched on, you found an answer that was satisfactory. They all fit, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it's definitely helped out for sure.
Cool. Anything else, or shall we take a... Oh, there you go.
I'm just gonna send in another code there.
Sure.
This was just the last game I played before I hopped on.
That's just fine. Let's grab this.
Welcome to Blizzard World. Ready for battle.
There's nothing I've seen before.
Hello.
Stick together. We will complete our mission.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
What's there? Hello there. Bonjour. Hello.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
It's fine.
Defend
It's
objective
just for
A.
perspective. Okay. So...
Watch your step.
can't do it anymore, unfortunately. Yeah, that's fine. It's only her that gets vision off of it, and she's not going to be in a place to follow up on it. Okay. This felt a little early to me, you peeking here, because I don't think
Okay.
this is really helping your team. I don't think this is really peeling the Echo's attention meaningfully off your team yet. You follow what I'm saying? Like, your Echo, the Echo
Yeah.
isn't really dangerous to them yet. Yeah, she can throw shots, but, like, your team is more worried when they're here or they're here. So you're going, hey, yes, the Echo's going to turn and look at you, and that's fine, but you're going to take some damage rolling through here that is only worth it if you turn this chip damage you're taking into positioning to do a greater distraction when your team is moving through a more vulnerable place. Right?
Yeah.
Otherwise,
yeah,
you're
I should
just sort
be
of
waiting a little bit longer.
Exactly. Well, assuming that you're not turning this into, if you're going, no, I'm taking some chip damage because I'm going to get down in here, get the mega, and then I'm going to do a roll through of this team, not expecting you to get an elimination. You're not at a level where that's going to happen very often anymore, but expecting to soften them up as my team is rotating through here. Like, I'm going to do a quick roll through and end up here, for example, then circle back immediately through the mini and then still be ready to serious engage with my team. Like, if you're doing I want to bump them, I want to relieve pressure as my team is rotating through a particular vulnerable spot, like this one, okay, in order to do that, you potentially had to take this chip damage here. But if that's not the plan, if you're thinking my team's on their own through here, or, my thing is going to be when my team is here, that's when I'm going to hard commit, well then, this was meaningless chip damage because you'll still get there in plenty of time and still would even if you went later, right?
I get you.
Okay.
Repairing.
Okay. Yeah, so you could have made this in time pretty easily without that. Good. Yeah. So I almost said I think you're here too long, but here we go. Let's just roll back one more second there.
Repairing.
Good. Fine. Good. You have some adaptive shield. Adaptive shield's not as big as it used to be, but this is sort of one of those, okay, you're here, you're shooting into the back of a Reinhardt, your team isn't just absolutely chunking this Reinhardt, and if you look at your comp, your team can't just absolutely shred this Reinhardt, right?
Yeah, I get you.
Like, if you had a Reaper May, absolutely, this is great, etc., etc. And this still isn't bad, because you're pressing the Reinhardt into your team's concave, etc., but I don't expect you team to immediately be able to follow up on this and immediately eliminate him. They may still get him. This was a good... I'm not saying that it's bad to push him in, because yes, he's closer to your team now, which makes him, do more damage, of course, as in any damage, but, you pushed him into a concave, he's a little more surrounded, that's a little more pressure on him, but unless he's just immediately going down, you can't stay here, really. And even, you got an okay adaptive shield, not an amazing one, but a pretty solid adaptive shield. This isn't a place that you can stay because you know that you are between the 5 members of his team and the Reinhardt, right? So you're going to have 5 people less, but effectively 5 people shooting you in the back, whereas your team has a slightly better concave around Ryan than they had before, but there's still this giant barrier that they mostly have to deal with, right? Like, yes, McCree may turn and get the flash on him, etc., but I'm looking at this and just kind of thinking to myself, okay, yes, it was good to put Ryan in this more dangerous position. I don't mind you stopping for an instant to spend some adaptive shield, but you should already be thinking about, can I reposition over here where I've got boxes between me and the team to do work? Can I reposition over here? Can I, go, hey, let me go over here and then let me do another roll through? Like, I'm looking at this and this isn't a place that you want to stay by any means. Like, even with this adaptive shield, that doesn't mean you have to just stay here and shred your adaptive shield as fast as possible. You do want to be more aggressive when you have a decent adaptive shield, but this is still more aggressive. This is still more aggressive. This is like, it's just a ton of damage that you're going to take here.
Yeah, I think I do try and move towards the boxes,
Yep.
but I still end up dying.
And then, oh yeah, you get slept, and then hooked. Yeah, you do. Okay, so good on you to move towards the boxes there.
Hold up now.
For combat.
Together, we are strong.
Miles is charging.
Barrier activated.
I want to set that personal again.
Barrier activated.
You know hook's not available. You walk into shots that you know are coming. Getting out's going to be a little tricky, but you know that they don't have a Lucio and that hook's on cooldown. Okay.
I'm taking it.
Get in there. Kick your best shot.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Barrier's on you.
You just thought the Reinhardt was elsewhere?
No, I
You just didn't press personal.
just bubbled the Rhine because it was the last thing that I thought I could do there.
Yep. Okay, that's fine. I mean,
Barrier's on you.
Never die.
Not good.
Right beside.
Barrier activated. Maximum charge. Barrier's on you. Go.
fine. Okay. You just don't see the echo up there yet? I mean, it's pretty fast. I'm not, like, super critical that you don't. Okay, that's fine.
Now see what I can do. Get ready.
60 seconds.
You're covered.
How are you going to use this grab?
Огонь по готовности. Barriers on you. Огонь по готовности.
It's fine. And where's your widow? There. Okay. Rebel.
Seconds remaining.
This is a rough one. I mean, there's not a ton of things you're really making grievous errors on. This unfortunately is one of those things where it's like, hey, you know, playing Zarya into Widow is a little rough. Playing Zarya into Widow comp is a little rough. I do prefer their off-tank selection. I did also prefer it when you were on ball. But I mean, those bubbles were mostly reasonable. That positioning wasn't too bad, and I'm not going to be upset about that grab. So that unfortunately is mostly you're mostly playing Zarya right into that, unless you just want to hard farm more and try and puke out grabs faster.
10 seconds remaining.
Not have time to wait. Attack now.
Impact area.
It's probably a swing through instead.
10 seconds.
Not have time to wait. Attack now.
Clear impact area.
There you go. Easy finish. Fine. Yeah, much easier with the bow.
You know, I did plan on going ball for the whole round, but my Ryan asked for Zarya, so I thought, why not?
I just
Instead of
wouldn't. I just
listening
wouldn't
to sort of
listen to
not
them
really- yeah.
above diamond. To be perfectly honest, like unless you are committing to a brawl comp, it's just not very good. There's
Yeah, I
people
get-
like A10 who get away with it. Don't get me wrong, but he's fighting uphill.
Yeah. Gotcha. I generally just I do like to, if I don't see a major problem with what they're asking, I do
Sure.
like to just sort of go with it.
Yeah, no, it reduces the tilt.
You know,
Even
fighting
if
against the team.
right, even if the pick is worse, reducing the tilt would be worth it.
Objective A captured. Escort to the payload.
That's free. That's fine. Leave. Go challenge the Swiss from behind, or do that.
Compromised.
Okay, so I like the instinct to go, hey, this is the most important point on the map to challenge right here. Rewind it a little bit.
I'm on fire.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Objective A captured. Escort to the payload.
Good instinct here. Okay, I suppose I'll be critical.
My ultimate is almost ready.
Objective A captured. Escort the payload.
Scanning for targets.
Okay, that wasn't too bad. You were trying to get on the tracer. Good instinct. You now immediately see the Rhine. You leave. Now you see your tracer. This still isn't a fight you're in. This is, as best you can tell, a 4v2, 3.5v2. So, this becomes a, hey, how do we displace them? And you can either roll through, which is what you do, or you can challenge from behind, which probably would have been my preference, but that's fine. You knock them off like that, and then we force tunnel. Fine.
Compromised.
No, you were already committed. You didn't lose your tracer until after you'd committed. That's fine.
Atlan?
Okay, so, well, we'll keep doing this.
Scanning for targets.
No. Should they get flank control?
No, they shouldn't.
Right. You guys have a ball and a tracer, and they just have a tracer. So I understand if you go, hey, I don't want to mess with the tracer, that's fine with me, but you should round up your tracer, and you should definitely go, yeah, no, we want this flank. And if you end up in a situation where you guys get this flank and she gets this flank, that's potentially life. But, if I know which flank she's on, yeah, I'm going to say let's challenge it, because we know that we can force her out. We can make her more exhausted in terms of cooldown use than we are, put her in rougher shape between, her cooldowns, her health, etc. And then, she's going to have to drive back to her team a bit. And if she had to drive back to her team a bit, well, that means we get to stage closer to get on the Zen that we ultimately want to get the elimination on there. So that's what you're going to think. This is the more important point, so yes, it's fine with me if you ignore her and go here, but in that case, you better dominate this hard. There's your tracer. So I'm going to want you in general, when you have a tracer, to... Ideally, the tracer's going to be following your lead a little bit, but I want you to be paying a little more attention in general to what your tracer's doing when you have a tracer as well. Because, you know, if she follows your comms, that's fantastic. If she's not, it still becomes better for you to go, hey, let me sort of control the flanks that she's controlling. Let me initiate, you know, at timings that she's going to be really ready and willing to follow up on, etc.
System had a malfunction.
Hi. Hello, sir. Get a rope.
Thank you.
Ultimate's ready. Get your head down.
Okay. Easy recovery. Okay, let me just orient. That's fine. That's not real. That's what I thought. Hopefully you're about to enter this fight.
30 seconds remaining.
No, you're just chilling. So, you're over here. This is what you're up to. And, you know, we saw what you were up to. And let's just check out what your tracer buddy is up to at the same time.
Ready. Let's do this.
And I'm beating a dead horse here, but let's re-watch what you were up to at this time. I don't think I rewound far enough there. Yeah, we can see this is roughly the same time frame in terms of what's going on here. So you basically challenged mid here and went, hey, I'm going to go do this, etc., etc. And challenging mid is okay and all, but your team has a Sigma to help them challenge mid, right? Like, that's sort of what your core is working around. If we just look at how your team breaks down, like, your team has the Sigma plus the McCree, and those guys are generally going to play a little more mid with their Ana, Lucio, weird, but whatever. You were looking a little more to go, okay, I want to be challenging and attacking these flanks, less attacking mid here, and going, you know, if you need to go through mid to get to the high ground, fine, I can get it. But, you know, you don't really want to be playing with their tanks. Like, they have a Roadhog and a Reinhardt. Knocking their Reinhardt out of the way back when you had the McCree Widow, sure, etc. But, you know, their Hog's always going to make your life a little annoying. That's what he's going to do. So
Yeah.
if you can go, hey, let me go around and punish their backline. I mean, you saw what your Tracer got done without you. What would the Tracer have gotten done with you, type thing. And
Yeah,
yes,
that makes a lot of sense.
the whole situation changes a little bit, but it's just, you know, sure, if you're playing Reinhardt, sure, play with other tanks. If you're playing Ball, no, you're going, let me relieve pressure, let me go behind, let me do that, and if I have a tracer, let's do that. So I think your thing for trace between these two matches, the thing for your Ball to mentally sort of be focusing on is, hey, if I have a tracer buddy, let me make sure I sort of am paying a little more. I'm prioritizing mentally tracking that hero a little more. Like, everyone tracks a certain number of heroes and it differs for players. I don't know. Maybe you're and most of us couldn't even say how many we're tracking, but maybe you're tracking 4 heroes in the map. Maybe you're tracking 6 heroes in the map. Maybe you're at 8. I don't know. But you're sort of tracking yourself, and it shifts a little bit. It's not like, oh, it's, you know, a constant this. But I would move your tracer up your priority list a little bit when you're playing with a tracer. You know, when you have a tracer on your team as Ball, because I want you a little more aware of what she's doing, where she is. Ideally, she's going to follow your lead, but if you don't give her great situation, she won't, and sometimes she just won't. And even if she just won't, it's probably better to follow hers. If if she's not
I
going to.
understand it's ranked. Obviously, if I can't get them to do what I feel is the best, I should just go with them.
Yes, you got it. Okay, I think that's what we're going to do today. Do you have any final questions?
No, I'm all good.
Okay, then give me just a second here. Cool. So